You paid for Evan's medical bills, cool? Then you can help me buy my penthouse, too. Right. That's what my sister Bella said to me. On speaker, while I was in the middle of a Zoom call with 3 department heads. I almost choked on my cold brew. Let me rewind. So, I'm Madison, 36, senior VP at a tech firm in Austin, emotionally allergic to BS, oldest of 3 siblings. Evan, 34, is my younger brother, soft-spoken, a bit of a dreamer, but honestly, one of the most grounded and decent people I know. Then there's Bella, the baby of the family, the Instagrammer, the queen of delusional entitlement. You know that one sibling who could literally burn the house down and somehow end up being called creative? That's her. Growing up, it was always be patient with Bella. She's still young, she's sensitive, but I'm telling you, even at 10, she was a manipulative little tornado. Evan and I just kind of learned to roll our eyes and ignore the chaos. We had each other. But the real imbalance, our mom, she still acts like Bella's personal cheerleader, manager, and emotional lawyer rolled into one. My dad, God rest him, tried to keep things somewhat sane, but after he passed away 8 years ago, the scales tipped hard in Bella's favor, like she literally moved into Mom's guest room and never left kind of favor. Meanwhile, Evan and I kept our distance. We built our own lives, our own peace. I moved to Austin. Evan stayed local and started working on a podcast project about people quietly building amazing things. It's his passion. He quit teaching last year to go full-time on it, scary, but bold. Then shit hit the fan. A few weeks ago, Evan got into a car accident. Some asshole on his phone blew through a red light. Evan's leg got shattered. Like metal rods and PT for months, level of bad. His insurance covered the basics, but not the home care, the extra meds, the Uber rides to therapy 3 times a week. And he lives alone. I didn't even blink. I covered it all. I'm financially comfortable. I love my brother, and it honestly felt good to be able to support him without strings. But, and this is where it gets wild, Bella found out. I don't even know how. Maybe Evan mentioned it to Mom in passing. Maybe Mom mentioned it to Bella, thinking she'd say how nice. Nope. Bella took it as her cue to pounce. Last week, she calls me, no, hey, no, how's Evan? Just, so, there's this apartment downtown I've been eyeing. It's a penthouse. I can cover half, but I need help with the rest. WTF? I laughed. Like, I genuinely thought it was a joke. We haven't had a real conversation in years. She never checks in unless it's about someone's birthday or something she wants, and now she expects me to drop 6 figures. So I told her, very directly, no. That's it. No lecture, no drama, just no. She hung up. Which, cool, I thought that was that. But nah, it was just the opening act. That night, my phone blew up. Missed calls from my mom. Texts that started with, I can't believe you, and ended with, you've always resented your sister. Oh, really? That's the narrative now. Let me tell you something. My mom has never told Bella no. Not once. Growing up, if Bella wanted a dress, she got it. If she flunked a class, somehow the teacher was the problem. If she made snide comments about my dark circles or Evan's boring major, Mom would just chuckle and say, she's got spirit. We weren't raised equally, and I've made my peace with that. But what I won't do, what I refuse to do, is let someone manipulate me into financing a damn luxury apartment just because they feel embarrassed living with Mom at 28, especially when they've never held a real job a day in their life. Bella calls herself a lifestyle coach. You know what that means. She posts pastel-filtered pictures of smoothies and tells people you are the energy you attract, while siphoning money from my mom to buy fake plants and LED mirrors. And now she wants a penthouse, while my brother is literally limping to a microwave with a cane. Screw that. I told Mom that this wasn't about picking favorites. It was about logic. Evan needed help because he had a real emergency. Bella wants help because... what? She's bored. My mom got real quiet. Then she hit me with, if you don't help her, I don't want to speak to you anymore. Oh, okay, cool. We hadn't exactly been bonding over wine and puzzles these last few years anyway. So I said, "Fine, you do what you need to do. I'm not funding your golden child's fantasies." And I hung up. That should have been the end. Right. Except 2 days later, my fiance Jake gets a message from my mom on Instagram. Yeah, Instagram. She tells him how disappointed she is in me, how I've abandoned my family, and how she and Bella have decided to cut me off permanently. Jake shows it to me with that look, half confused, half, do I reply or block? I laughed. Like belly laughed, because the irony, I was already planning on not inviting them to our wedding. So yeah, Jake got the message. And for a second, just a second, I felt bad. Not for them, but for him. Because Jake's family is like normal. They fight, sure, but they talk things out. They show up for birthdays. They send each other dumb memes at 2 a.m. His mom calls just to ask how my dog is doing. His dad cries over Thanksgiving speeches. That kind of normal. So when Jake read that message from my mom, that long, manipulative essay about how I've always been selfish, how they're heartbroken, and how they're officially cutting me off, he kind of froze, like he didn't know what to do with it. I told him, just block her. He looked at me for a long second. You sure? Yeah, I said. I've been emotionally no contact with her for years. Now she's just catching up. He didn't say anything, just nodded, and hit block. Then I blocked Bella too. Clean slate. For the first time in forever, I felt like I could breathe. But you know how life doesn't actually let you enjoy peace for long? Yeah. 3 days later, I got a call from my uncle, my dad's younger brother, Eric. He runs the family business now, a custom home building company my dad started from scratch in his 20s. Evan and I never wanted to take it over. And Bella couldn't tell the difference between a floor plan and a Pinterest board. Anyway, Eric calls me and his tone is off. Calm, but stressed. He never calls unless something's wrong. He tells me, your mother wants to transfer some of her shares to Bella. I blink. Why? She says it's time Bella gets involved in the family business. I laughed. I literally laughed out loud. She's never worked a day in this company. Eric, she can't even read a profit loss sheet. I know, he said. That's why I'm calling you. Apparently, Mom's been pushing hard, not just to give Bella shares, which would be bad enough, but also to give her voting rights. Let me repeat, she wants to give Bella voting power in a multi-million-dollar business that she has zero experience in, and zero qualifications to touch. Eric, to his credit, was trying to hold the line, but he was getting pressure from Mom, from Bella, from some board members who are scared of drama. Can you talk to her? He asked. God, I didn't want to. Jake saw the look on my face when I hung up and said, let me guess, your mom's pulling another move. I nodded. He sat next to me on the couch, his hand on my knee. What do you want to do? I didn't even hesitate. We go see her, me and Evan, together. Jake offered to come, but I told him no. This was family business, the toxic kind. He didn't need to breathe in that poison. So I called Evan. He didn't even let me finish the sentence before he said, I'm in... So that Sunday, we drove to Mom's house. She opened the door with a face like she'd been expecting Jesus, not her two estranged kids. Bella was there, naturally in some ridiculous silk robe like she was starring in her own reality show. We sat in the living room. The air was thick. I got straight to the point. Uncle Eric told us you want to give Bella shares and voting power. Mom didn't flinch. She's part of this family. She has a right. No, Evan said. She has no experience, no qualifications. And Dad made it very clear who he wanted running the business. Your father's gone, she snapped. It's time things changed. Bella chimed in, flipping her hair like a smug influencer. You guys gave up your place in the company. Don't act surprised just because now I'm finally stepping in. I swear I saw red. I turned to Mom. You really think this is what Dad would have wanted? You think he busted his ass for 30 years so Bella could treat the company like her Instagram page? Mom's lips were tight. You don't get to speak to me like that. I'm not asking for permission. I said, I'm telling you this is a mistake, and you know it. Bella stood up. You don't even care about this family. Yeah, you cut us off. You left. I stood too. No, I stopped letting you bleed me dry. That's not abandonment. That's survival. Mom shouted, Enough! We all froze. Then she said, Quieter. This is my decision. You don't have a say. Evan looked at her, and his voice was so calm it chilled me. Maybe not. But Eric does. And if you force this, we'll contest it. Publicly. Mom stared at him like he'd slapped her. You wouldn't, she whispered. I would, he said, and you know I keep my promises. There was silence. Thick and brutal. Then Bella scoffed. Whatever, you two can go. Your time here's up. We left. No hugs, no goodbyes. On the drive back? Evan said. Do you think she'll go through with it? I sighed. If she does, it's war. A week passed. Nothing. Then 2, then 3. And then finally Uncle Eric called. She's changed her mind. Bella's not getting voting power. I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for days. But, he added, your mom still transferred some preferred shares to her, enough to give her a small income. That's it. I could live with that. Hell, let Bella have her allowance. She was going to blow it on neon furniture and ring lights anyway. What mattered was the company was safe. My dad's legacy still intact. Evan and I both felt it the shift, like after all these years, we finally stood up not just to them, but for ourselves. Jake took me out that night. Nothing fancy, burgers, beer, and soft patio lights. I told him everything. He just nodded. You're done playing their game. Yeah, I said, for good this time. Then he asked if we could invite Eric to the wedding. Not as a formality, as family. I smiled. Hell yes. We didn't send invites to Mom or Bella, and we never looked back. But, of course, drama doesn't sleep. 2 weeks before the wedding, I was actually feeling good. Like, scary good. The venue was set, guest list locked. My dress was simple, but exactly what I wanted. Evan was healthy enough to walk again with a slight limp, but he looked badass doing it, and most importantly, I had peace. No phone calls from my mother, no last-minute guilt texts from Bella, just silence. Jake and I were sitting on the floor, stuffing favors into boxes, little candles with our initials, when he suddenly said, By the way, your cousin Jamie texted me. I looked up. Why? She asked if Bella and your mom are really not invited. Oh, here we go. Apparently, Mom and Bella had started asking other people why they hadn't gotten their invites. Not directly, no. That'd be too straightforward. It was more like, so excited for the wedding, can't wait to see everyone again, which made people assume they were coming. And when Jamie said, Oh, didn't you get the invite? All hell broke loose. They were fuming. I'm talking circulating a group text thread to boycott the wedding kind of fuming. Jake showed me a screenshot of one of Bella's messages to a mutual friend. It's fine. We're just realizing who really values family and who only pretends to. I rolled my eyes so hard, I almost saw my childhood. But what actually made me pause wasn't Bella, it was my mom. She was apparently telling people she had to step back from the wedding for emotional reasons, because she wasn't welcome as a mother anymore. Nope. That's when I decided to finally break the silence. Not with her. I was done wasting words on people who only hear what they want. But I wrote a letter, not for them, for me, for closure. I never sent it, just wrote it in my notes app, sat with it for a minute, and then moved on. I said something like, You stopped being a mom to me when you made your love conditional on how much I gave to Bella, when you expected me to play ATM while she played victim, when you acted like loyalty only flowed in one direction. So, no, you're not invited. Not because I hate you, but because you were never really there. And I'm done pretending otherwise. That helped more than I expected. But of course, Bella wasn't done. 4 days before the wedding, Evan called me. You might want to check Instagram. He said Bella had posted a photo of herself and my mother in matching white outfits. White, by the way, with the caption, "We might not be going to that wedding, but we know how to celebrate real love. Family over everything." The comments were a disaster. People who didn't know the backstory were gassing them up. "Y'all are better off cutting off toxic siblings is self-care." I didn't reply, but I'll admit it got under my skin. Jake noticed I was pacing. "You good?" "I don't know." I said, I didn't want drama. I just wanted distance." He nodded. Distance is a kind of protection, but it pisses off people who need your attention to survive. That hit. And then, the final cherry on top. The night before the wedding, Evan told me Bella and Mom had moved. Not just anywhere, but into the penthouse Bella had tried to get me to pay for. Turns out, Mom had sold the old house and rented out the top floor downtown, and was now footing the bill for Bella to live her dream. But the kicker, they were telling people I had forced them to do it, that I abandoned them. And now they were starting over as survivors of emotional abuse. Like I hadn't paid Evan's medical bills. Like I hadn't tried for years to keep us connected. I could have gone off. I could have made a whole post exposing them. Receipts and all. But I didn't. Instead, the next morning, I walked down the aisle surrounded by people who actually knew me. People who'd seen me grind through college, through toxic work environments, through therapy. Evan stood next to Jake as best man. My Uncle Eric, bless him, cried harder than my bridesmaids. And you know what? I felt light. Like for the first time, I was finally me. Not just the oldest daughter trying to make everything work. After the ceremony, Jake and I took a minute alone, just the two of us, under this massive oak tree outside the venue. He took my hand and said, "They're going to keep spinning their stories." I know. But you don't owe anyone the truth anymore. You lived it. You survived it. You moved on. That was the moment it really sank in. Not just that I didn't need to win their game, but that I was already out of it. I don't care what Bella posts. I don't care what story Mom tells over her brunch table. I don't even care if they think I'm the villain. Let them. I've got a husband who sees me, a brother who never stopped choosing me, and a peace that cost everything, but was worth it. They say revenge is best served cold. Mine, it's being served with champagne, on a rooftop, with a husband who actually respects me, and a family I chose, not one that demanded everything and gave nothing. That's the real ending. But you know how stories like this always have a little bonus scene? Yeah, that came 2 weeks after the wedding. Uncle Eric called me again. "Thought you should know," he said. "Your mom's trying to get Bella into the next shareholders' meeting to speak." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said, "Let her try." Because this time, I was ready. All of us were, and if she steps in that room, we'll be waiting with legal documents, voting power, and every line in Dad's will to remind her who actually built this family's legacy. Spoiler, it wasn't her. I didn't plan this life out perfectly, but damn if I didn't fight for it. And I'm not sorry for a single choice I made to protect it. Not one. Not anymore. 3 weeks after the wedding, I thought things might finally settle. No calls, no texts, no new drama, which, in my family, is basically the equivalent of a ceasefire in a war zone. Evan was back in physical therapy, slowly ditching the cane. Jake and I were figuring out what to do with all the leftover wedding favors. I even started sleeping through the night without waking up halfway through, thinking about Bella's stupid Instagram captions. Then one morning, it was a Thursday. I'm sitting at my desk, halfway through emails, when my work phone buzzes. It's Eric. Again. The second I picked up, I knew it wasn't good. She showed up. He said, who I asked, but I already knew. Bella, at the company office, said she had a right to be there because she was a shareholder now. I closed my eyes and exhaled through my nose. Please tell me she didn't bring her ring light. Almost. He said she had some guy with her. Looked like he ran her TikTok. Of course. Eric said she waltzed in like she owned the place, tried to get access to the boardroom, and demanded to sit in on planning meetings. Claimed she wanted to bring a fresh, modern voice to the brand. She literally used the phrase Gen Z real estate aesthetics. We build houses, not YouTube sets. She left after I called security. Eric said, but she said she'd be back. I didn't even ask how she managed to get in the building. I already knew Mom had put her name on a visitor list a week prior without telling anyone. It was her last card, or so she thought. I told Eric, we have her signature on a non-management clause. Right. We do. Then let her come back. We'll be ready. And we were. Over the next few days, I had our legal team pull every agreement, every clause, every loophole. I wasn't going to fight with yelling or chaos. I was going to use the thing they hate the most: cold, silent, airtight facts. Bella didn't realize how businesses work. She thought having shares meant she got a say. But preferred shares, those don't come with voting power. And she signed that when she accepted them. So did Mom. Which meant all the noise she was making. Just noise. I sent a formal notice to her email, CC'd Eric, CC'd the legal team, politely reminded her that her presence at the office was considered disruptive, unauthorized, and would be treated accordingly if repeated. Then I went back to my life for about 4 days. Because on Monday, she posted another video. This time, and it was a full rant. I tried to be involved in my family's legacy, she said, all serious, like she was talking about civil rights. But some people don't want to let go of control. They're scared of change, scared of power shifting. She even had dramatic piano music under it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but apparently it blew up, got over 100K views. Her followers were eating it up, calling her brave and visionary. Meanwhile, Evan and I were in the background trying to do actual work, keep the company from becoming a meme. Jake saw me watching a clip and raised an eyebrow. She's still doing this. Always, I muttered. Then like clockwork, Mom called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. I don't know why you're treating Bella like an enemy. She's just trying to help. She wants to honor your father's work, not destroy it. That part almost made me laugh. My dad built that company with calluses on his hands. He literally used to sleep in unfinished houses during busy seasons. And she thinks Bella can honor that by posting filtered tours and hashtagging them #BossBabeEnergy. I called Eric. Let's do it, I said. You sure? He asked. Yeah, I said. She wants to be taken seriously. Let's give her exactly what she asked for. We scheduled an official shareholder clarification letter publicly stating the roles, limitations, and structure of all members. We included Bella's name and her status, clearly, legally, unambiguously. The document dropped on a Thursday afternoon. No shade, no drama, just public record. The comments started rolling in by Friday. People who knew the business, they weren't fooled. Contractors, agents, architects, people who respected my dad, they reposted it. They supported Eric, and by extension, us. Quietly, professionally. Bella tried to clap back in a story, something like, "Don't believe everything you read. Truth always wins." But the tone was off. You could tell she was spiraling. And then, silence. For 5 days, a full social blackout. It was eerie and a little satisfying. I kept waiting for the next blow-up, but it didn't come until Jake forwarded me a screenshot. Bella had changed her bio. No more real estate innovator. No more family business advocate. Now it just said, healing, creating, rebuilding. Translation, she lost. Mom still quiet. I don't know if she was ashamed or just regrouping. Probably the latter. But I didn't care. Because in that moment, I realized something. They weren't really trying to build something. They weren't trying to connect. They were just trying to pull me back into the drama, into the obligation, into the exhausting dance of pretending to be a daughter who owes something. Just because I got out. But I'm done. Evan's doing well. His podcast blew up after a guest spot he did with a war veteran who built prosthetics for injured dogs. Yeah, that's specific, and people loved it. He told me, I feel like I'm finally building something that's mine. I told him. Same. Jake and I got a letter in the mail last week. A wedding card. No return address. No name. Inside, a simple note. You didn't invite us, but we were watching. Hope you're happy now. There was a lipstick print on the envelope. I laughed. I really did. Because who sends anonymous wedding hate mail like it's 1953? Jake asked if I wanted to respond. I burned it in the fire pit out back. Because here's the thing. Closure isn't something they get to define. It's not about whether they accept your boundary. It's about whether you keep it. And I'm keeping mine. No more emotional IOUs, no more guilt-tripping voicemails, no more showing up just because it's what family does. Family, real family, doesn't come with strings, or invoices, or revenge plots dressed up as legacy. It comes with presence, with care, with accountability. And if they can't offer that, then I've got nothing left to give. I already gave it all, for years, and now it's mine again. My energy, my time, my peace. And that right there, that's the sweetest revenge of all. A month after everything went quiet, I really thought we were in the clear. No texts, no threats, no cryptic posts. It felt suspiciously peaceful, like the kind of quiet you get in movies right before something explodes. But still, I let myself enjoy it. Jake and I were starting to plan a road trip up the coast. Evan was talking about maybe moving to a bigger space, not out of necessity, just because, for once, he could. His podcast had real traction. He had sponsors now. And I could see something in him I hadn't seen in years. Pride. Then, out of nowhere, Eric called. Again. He didn't sound mad, just tired. Your mom's moving out of the penthouse, he said. I blinked. Why? She says it's too expensive. I almost choked on my coffee. You mean the same penthouse she said Bella deserved? Yep. Turns out, Mom was burning through her savings faster than anyone expected. The rent, the upkeep, Bella's constant spending, apparently treating every day like a girl's trip to Vegas gets expensive real fast. But that wasn't even the kicker. She called me last night. Eric asked if she could borrow against her remaining shares. There it was, the real reason for the call. She wants money, I asked. She didn't say it directly, just kept hinting that she was investing in Bella's future and needed some short-term liquidity. I laughed. She wants to pawn her shares for another round of Bella's self-discovery. Eric didn't laugh. He just said, I told her no. But you should know, because she might come to you next. I told him she wouldn't. She knew better by now. I was wrong. 2 days later, she emailed me. Not even a real email. A forwarded message chain between her and some lawyer I didn't know, with the subject line. Options for restructuring family assets. Then just a quick note from her. Madison, I trust you'll do the right thing. Love, Mom. I stared at it for a full minute. Then I forwarded it to my trash folder. But you want to know the truly messed up part. For like 15 seconds, I felt guilty, like maybe I was being too cold. Maybe I could help her just this once. And that's when it hit me. That conditioning, that twitch of guilt every time I say no, that's not love. That's just what happens when you've spent your whole life being the reliable one in a family full of chaos. Jake came into the room, saw the look on my face, and asked what happened. I told him. He just raised an eyebrow. Want me to reply? I grinned. Nah, ghosting's more effective. We left the next morning for our road trip, just packed the car, turned off our phones, and drove. No itinerary, just coastal air, good playlists, and space. It wasn't until we hit Northern California that I got the call from Evan. I think they finally got the message. He said, He'd been contacted by a mutual relative, someone we hadn't talked to in ages, who said Mom and Bella had stepped back from all their social circles. Translation, they were embarrassed, or regrouping, or both. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad either. I just felt done. Done playing the villain in their story just because I refused to be the hero in it. Evan and I talked for over an hour that day. He told me he'd been offered a speaking gig, a TEDx thing. Small, but legit. He was nervous, but he was thinking about saying yes. Say yes, I told him. You've got something to say. He hesitated. You think she'll try something again? She might, but she's out of ammo now. No more leverage, no more shock value, just noise. There was a pause. Then he said, Do you ever miss it, like the idea of a normal family? That got me. I thought about it. Not the chaos, not the manipulation, just the dream of a family that actually supports each other. Where love isn't weaponized. Where boundaries aren't betrayal. Yeah, I said, I miss the idea, but not the reality. Because the reality was, they weren't just flawed, they were toxic. And there's a difference. Flawed means forgetting birthdays or saying dumb stuff at dinner. Toxic means expecting you to trade your mental health for their comfort. And I'm not doing that anymore. Not for anyone. We finished the trip, came home sunburned and full of diner food. Life resumed, simple, quiet, and surprisingly full. Then last week, Jake handed me a padded envelope that came in the mail. No return address. Inside a flash drive, I popped it into my laptop. There was only one file on it, a video. It was Bella, sitting alone, no music, no filters, no dramatic lighting. Just her talking to the camera. She said a bunch of stuff. Apologies that didn't really sound like apologies. Claims about trying to find herself. Vague references to Mom pushing too hard. But at the end, she said, I know you probably won't believe this, but I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I was just scared. Of not being enough, of being irrelevant. I wanted to matter. Then she turned off the camera. That was it. No follow-up, no ask, just that. Jake asked if I was okay. I told him I didn't know. Because part of me wanted to believe she meant it. That she really was trying. That maybe there was a human under all that mess. But the other part, the one that remembered the gaslighting, the demands, the screaming, that part wasn't ready to open the door again. I haven't responded. Don't know if I will. Evan hasn't gotten anything like it. Neither has Eric. So maybe I was the target, or the experiment. But I've learned my lesson closure doesn't mean letting people back in. Sometimes it just means accepting the door stayed closed for a reason. I saved the file. Didn't delete it. Didn't watch it again either. It just sits there. A digital ghost. A maybe someday. A what if. And I'm okay with that. Because for once, not knowing doesn't hurt. It actually feels like peace.